What up, what up, what up? It's the one, the only, but what do I know? Boxing back at you with another one. Man. I had to do this video, man, because I feel like it's overdue. I feel like this video is overdue. So, what I have decided to do is, man, I wanted to speak on the condition that boxing is in today. Okay, it's boxing has obviously changed. It used to be a sport. Now it's more. It was a sport first, business second. Now it's more of a business first, sport second. And the thing is, though through the whole generation of boxing, like it's big fights that never happened. That's not just started this generation. It's happening more and more, and it seems like it's more obstacles that we have to jump through as far as just to get a good fight, just to get a big fight. Boxing is like the only sport where in order to see the best versus the best, we have to go through so many obstacles. You might have one guy sign with this promoter. You might have one guy sign with this promoter. All right, you got a fighter that signed with promoter A, and you got a fighter that signed with promoter B. Then you got promoter A, or the fighter that signed with promoter A only fights at on this network, where the fighter that fights with promoter B only fights on this completely different network. And it's just so many obstacles. Then you got the egos of the fighters. One fighter think they should have this amount of money, the other fighter think they should have this amount of money or get this percentage or whatnot. It's so much. So I wanted to break down just a little bit, for the people that don't know, like the issues with boxing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a ripple effect. It's a domino effect. I'm telling you, the issues with boxing to me. All right, first it starts out. Well, we can start off by saying these fighters are not fighting enough, right? These fighters are fighting 1 to 2 times a year, right? Now, I remember Floyd Mayweather stated in an interview a while ago, he stated that these fighters nowadays are getting paid too much. And people thought that Floyd Mayweather was hating. And Floyd Mayweather's not hating. Like, he wasn't hating. I actually think that he was telling the truth. Where is the motivation to fight this big name fighter if you're getting the same amount of money for fighting a no-name fighter? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, here's where it goes, right? These fighters are getting paid a lot, and because these fighters are getting paid a lot, these fighters can't fight as frequent, right? So because these fighters don't fight as frequent, now a loss to somebody's resume is a lot more worse than what it really could be if the fighter was active. So because a loss is a lot more damaging to a fighter than what it used to be, now that fighter doesn't want to fight the top guys, because a loss nowadays is like detrimental to your career. And that's the honest to God truth. That's the ripple effect with boxing. Fighters getting paid millions and millions of dollars. And I'm not saying, listen, first and foremost, I'm glad that these fighters are getting compensated for what they deserve. I mean, for what they do. They're risking their lives for our entertainment, and rightfully so. They should be paid handsomely, and they should also never have to work again. I feel like they should be in a situation where they don't have to ever. They should have it should be life outside after boxing, financial wise. All right. So I definitely am happy with that. However, it's like, man, I don't. It's like, man, if Danny Garcia is making 1.2, 1.3 for fighting Rod Saka, where's the motivation for Danny Garcia to fight Keith Thurman or something like that? Now, Danny Garcia has been in there with the best. I really don't even understand why people still continue to criticize Danny Garcia the way he does. He's been in there with the best. He's not the best. He's not. I don't think he's number one, but he's definitely been in there with the best. So I appreciate Danny Garcia. But the thing is, man, in today's boxing, we don't have enough Sean Porters in today's boxing, and that's the honest to God truth. Rarely do we and let me tell you about these fighters nowadays. These fighters nowadays, when they're up at the top, and I'll give you an example, and I'm not putting this on Jerron Ennis, but I'm gonna use him as an example. Jerron Ennis is at the stage right now where he wants to fight anybody. He wants to fight Terrence Crawford. He wants to fight Errol Spence. He wants to fight Virgil Ortiz. Right? It's so many fighters Keith Thurman. Matter of fact, I can use Keith Thurman. I'm gonna use Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman actually did it. All right. I don't want to put this on Jerron Ennis because Jerron Ennis, who knows, maybe he can be different. But Keith Thurman at one point was calling out everybody. Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. He was calling out Sean Porter. He was calling out everybody, bro. Everybody. He wanted everybody, man. And the moment, so it's like right when you're right above the elite level, the elite status. I mean, right when you're right underneath that elite status, yeah, you want to fight everybody. I'll fight this person. I'll fight that person. Hell yeah, let's get it. I want them all. I want them all. Whoever wanted. And you hear the same shit. When I become a champion, I'm fighting everybody. I'm not ducking nobody. I'm taking on the best. And the moment they become a champion, now is, well, they have to do this to get my fight, or this person has to do this. And man, Keith Thurman's a prime example of that, right? Once he became on top, now I definitely feel like Floyd Mayweather should have fought Keith Thurman. Yeah, hell yeah. Instead of Andre Berto, hell yeah, I would have rather Floyd to do that, right? Because Keith Thurman was Floyd's mandatory. But the moment Keith Thurman, you know, got on top, when Floyd was putting up Errol Spence, Floyd was saying like, hey, you know, why don't you fight Errol Spence and I'll put up my belt for it. It's like the bigger Errol Spence got, the less we start hearing from Keith Thurman. Errol Spence has to do this, that, and the third to get a fight with Keith one time Thurman, and or he has to get a belt, and we never got the Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman fight. Right now, one of the biggest fights in boxing that could possibly be made is Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Right now, I honestly agree. In today's time, right, when you go to negotiations, unfortunately, in today's time, is business first, legacy second. Right. So obviously, business-wise, Errol Spence brings more draws. I mean, he outsold Terrence Crawford by a wide margin on the pay-per-view and ticket sales or whatnot. So Errol Spence feels like he's the A-side. But Terrence Crawford, if you compare the two, Terrence Crawford has accomplished more. He was undisputed. He was a champion in 3 different weight classes, 135, 140. He was undisputed at 140, and then he was a champion at 147. Well, he is a champion at 147. So it's like Terrence Crawford is like, bro, I've accomplished a lot more in this sport than you have. I should be getting the A-side. Errol Spence is like, bro, I'm the big dog in this weight class. I generate the most money. I generate the most pay-per-view buys. I should get the A-side. I should be able to get the lion's share. And now we're at a standstill with these fights. Terrence Crawford is no longer with Top Rank, but at the same time, it's like, bro, we still can't get none of these big fights to happen. And like, man, it's so many big fights we missed out on. Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua, I remember he even asked for $50 million. He said, give me $50 million and I'll fight you the next day. Showtime came up with the funds and the fight never still didn't happen, bro. Like, and I don't even want to get started on the back and forth between Matchroom and all that, bro, because that's a whole nother video and it's stuff that I'm not gonna do. It's just too much, bro. But it's so many big fights we missed. Jermell Charlo versus Jarrett Hurd. That would have been a nice fight. It wouldn't have been a pay-per-view worthy, but it was still a big fight that we missed out on. You know, I can name, oh my gosh, I can name several fights that we did. I can go back to Adrian Broner versus Gamboa. We never got that fight. Gamboa versus I can't even think of the dude's name. But it's just so many fights that we missed out on, man. Juan Manuel Lopez, Gamboa versus Juan Manuel Lopez. That was supposed to be an action-packed fight. Remember Juan Manuel Lopez walked in the ring with after Gamboa's fight. Never got that fight, bro. Like, man, we don't have enough Sean Porters in this fight. Sean Porter was like the only fighter that really was willing to fight everybody in his weight class. He fought Keith Thurman. He fought Errol Spence. He fought Terrence Crawford. He fought Adrian Broner when Adrian Broner was actually the favorite in that fight with Sean Porter. But we don't have enough Sean Porter. He fought Kell Brook. He fought Danny Garcia. Sean Porter has literally fought every big name in his division, bro, and we don't have enough Sean Porters, bro, and that is what's wrong with today's boxing. People are, I'm not mad at the business mind, man. I'm all for the fighters getting their money. I love it, bro, but these fighters need to step up and fight each other because this is killing the sport, man. Let me know what you think, man. That was my brief issue with boxing, bro. Like, comment, subscribe to my channel, bro. What do you think? What fights would you want to see? But hey, what do I know?